that time of the week again. Time for our favorite hashtag Rising Qs, where we get to answer your questions. All right, who's up first? What do we got? Go ahead, Saagar.
What miscalculation has hashtag bluemaga made about the Great Depression political landscape? Hashtag Rising Qs. I think that one's for you, Krystal.
Yeah, well, I think we could both probably answer that one because there's pretty much a bipartisan failure all around. And basically every Democrat in this town is now bluemaga in my view. So, look, I don't think anyone has really been up to the scale of the problem. I think we, from the beginning, of course, gave tons away to corporations and put in place this system of pushing people onto unemployment. I mean, that was really the original major problem, in addition to the way that we funded massive corporations who will, of course, consolidate and buy up distressed assets and make that consolidation even worse that we already experience in this country. So I think that's really the thing. I mean, they're serving their corporate masters, ultimately. That's what the problem often comes back to.
Yeah, the miscalculation that is made by bluemaga and MAGA is that you should not be doing everything you possibly can in order to keep American workers on the payroll to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars for them and not necessarily for Boeing, which, oh surprise, is going to be cutting its workforce anyway. So it's all about if you actually work for people, it will be dramatically popular. And it's just the biggest political miscalculation made by so many politicians left and right.
Well, not just political miscalculation, like ethical, moral, reading the moment miscalculation, more important than anything. All right, what have we got next? Should members of Congress be disqualified from any activity that could potentially enrich themselves during their service? I say yes. Look, my view is fairly radical on this, but these people are supposed to be public servants. I don't think it's too much to ask that while you are a public servant, if that is the life that you choose, that you give up the ability to enrich yourself while in office. Why? Well, we covered here on the show a poll that just came out, our own exclusive polling, showing that corruption is the #1 issue. And so when you see Richard Burr, when you see Kelly Loeffler, Dianne Feinstein, whether they actually traded stock based on the information that they were getting from Congress or not, the very appearance of that completely undermines any trust in our institutions here, which has damaging effects for everyone across the country.
I think that's exactly it. And actually, I think we need to stop saying that we're the radical ones. It's more radical to say that you should be able to enrich yourself while serving the public. That's radical.
That is
so let's not accept this like corporate framing.
Yeah, you're right.
It's quite radical to say I should be able to own hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock of which my public decisions have an impact on. They're the radical ones. It's just normalized corruption, and we're radicals because we don't want
you don't want that. The piece that's more complicated actually is after, because a lot of the corruption happens too with what job you're going to get afterwards.
Right.
And that's one of the big problems as well, because even if you put you can't work, you can't go become a lobbyist in what is it now, the next 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many ways around that. You still have your eyes on that corporate board or that sweetheart lobbying gig that you're going to get down the line, and it impacts what you do while you're in office. To me, that's something else we have to completely end.
Maybe a lifetime ban on these people. Let's see how many
totally
of them go into
100% okay with that. Yeah, and then see if they step up to serve the public as they are now.
All right, last question. What do we got here? What are your 3 most important books on politics? Biographies, historical accounts, etc.
Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, so I am very into Thomas Piketty, economist who we've interviewed on this show, who really did some of the seminal and groundbreaking work on the causes of inequality. And for me, the real eye-opening sort of switch flip from his book on capital, has a new book out as well that's also excellent, was this idea that we assumed the post-World War II economy, where things were broadening and the middle class was enlarging and prosperity was largely shared, we kind of assumed and built all of our economic models around assuming that was the norm. That was an outlier. That was because of unique circumstances of basically much of the developed world being destroyed in World War II. So that was the outlier moment. And the moment we're living in now is actually the sort of default status of inequality of the rich getting richer. And without public policy to combat that, you're going to have the dynamics that we have now. So that's one. Great friend of the show, Matt Taibbi, recently published Hate Inc., which I think, to me, has been an essential guide for understanding what's going on in the media. He wrote it as a sort of, successor book to Noam Chomsky, Manufacturing Consent, which I think obviously is also important. Fantastic, essential tome that you should also read. But that's been an important one for me. And then also Thomas Frank, Listen Liberal. My views on the Democratic Party. And look, a lot of you want to know why I focus a lot on the Democratic Party on the show. First of all, I feel like my voice is more important there because what do Republicans really care about what I have to say? And also, I don't have much expectation the Republicans are going to do anything other than represent the rich. To me, where we really got hosed is when the Democratic Party also started to represent the rich, which is something that's happened over the past couple of decades. Thomas Frank really lays that out in an incredible way in Listen Liberal, so those are a few that I love.
There you go. Okay, so for me, the three most important books for understanding political power, it's not just one book, it's 4 going on 5. The Years of Lyndon Johnson by Robert A. Caro. It's like 3,000 pages.
Unreal.
It is just a fantastic history of how power works in America, how it's accumulated in America, how the nitty-gritty of politics and real political change actually happens. So highly recommend those. The other one that was very foundational to my politics, the reason I am who I am, what I am, and believe is because of a book called Grand New Party, which Reihan Salam and Ross Douthat wrote, I think in 2008 and 2009, about how the Republican Party needs to become the party of the working class, realign its populist, or realign its messaging to its actual voters. They called it like Sam's Club Republicanism, about going towards the people who shop at Sam's Club and not the people at Whole Foods who are always going to hate you no matter what, even if you cut their taxes. And then they really have this, they're like, if we just show them how much money they saved, I'm like, no, they're always going to hate you. And that's because it comes down to culture. And that's something that Ross and Reihan identified very importantly. And the other ones, I mean, this is something, a long pet project of mine. And I think one of our greatest feats as a nation was a history of the Apollo program. Because it's not just, it's a very step-by-step thing. I think it's called Man on the Moon. Of how getting to the moon is a series of solving 10 million engineering problems. But it was also about a very specific moment in American history, about the government, about the way that we just changed our mindset as to what a bureaucracy can and do great and incredible things, the most amazing feat in the history of human accomplishment, all within a very, the fact that it happened shows that it can be done. That it's not impossible. And that's so much of what we hear about our positions. You're radical, you can't do that. And I'm like, no, it can be done.
Right.
It's just a matter of political will. And so that was something that we literally willed ourselves into space and on the moon. And that's a pretty amazing thing.
Yeah, let us know what books we should be reading. What do you love? We'd love to know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. We'll have more for you later.